All right, Shalom, Shalom. I'm going to start off this video by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that rule well, that teach well, while learn the truth 100% according to the Bible. I also want to say Shalom to the elect, which is the 144,000 men, prophets, servants scattered abroad the four corners of the earth, and Shalom to the Aqua, which are you few sisters that are sincere in your children. Shalom. And in today's video, as you can see, is going to be another video I got from the brother Arrows of Indignation 144. And it's basically about this new law that it is that you got Esau coming with, and we're going to get into this video basically touching on it. But as you can see, it's called the hands off, and it's already being talked about or already, being ready to be put in use in 31 states. And we're going to basically let this guy on the video explain what it's talking about. And then I'm going to get into some few scriptures that I have. But before I even get into the video, I'm going to go to this precept right here. This is Isaiah chapter 10, verse 1. Because we know all of these things are part of those unrighteous decrees in which it is that Esau Edom is ultimately, bringing forth for his draconian system that he's setting up. All of these things that we see him implementing and putting in order are ultimately to establish his, his new world order system, man, that he's getting ready to inform and implement, which is going to be a draconian system where it's going to be governed in unrighteousness, man. That's what you see Trump passing all of these laws, ultimately setting up things for. That was it goes into in Isaiah 19:4 when it says that the people shall be ruled over by a cruel Lord, right? And I'm going to go to that precept, matter of fact, then I'll get back to Isaiah. But Trump is that cruel Lord, man, that it tells you about Isaiah, because you can see everything in which it is he's doing and is lining up right along with what scripture says, right? So this is Isaiah 19:4. It says, and the Egyptians, right, which is talking about modern day America, which is these 2/3 people and these heathens, because they have the mindset of Egyptians, right? Modern day Egyptians, because this place America is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, right? So it says, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord of hosts, right? And like I said, we see all of the unrighteous decrees and things in which it is that Donald Trump is ultimately putting into place. And all of those goes into him being Nero in the reincarnation, man, right? Which is back now into ultimately rule over these Babylonian Americans with the laws he's passing, the things he's putting in place to ultimately to make these people suffer. This all goes into him being that cruel Lord, man. So this is Isaiah chapter 10, verse 1. And it says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, because this is an unrighteous decree, man. But like I said, this is furthermore with this devil ultimately trying to have control over the people, man. People are about to see that this man is truly the devil with the things in which it is he's coming with. It tells you that in Sirach chapter 12, verse 10. For like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness, roughly paraphrasing it. But we know as time goes on and the worse iron gets when it rusts, is right, the worse it gets. And that's the same thing going to be happening with Trump, man. The more we get closer and closer to the fall of the Edomites and these people knowing that they have a short time left to rule and power, the more they're going to show how wicked they truly are, man. And they're showing that on a small scale with these laws and everything in which it is that Trump is doing, man. But mind you, Trump is only being controlled by Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. As it tells you in Proverbs 21:1, that the king's heart, meaning his mind, is in the hands of the Lord. As the rivers of water turneth soever he will. Roughly paraphrasing that scripture. But we know the Lord is ultimately the one that's controlling the minds of these leaders, and making them do the things in which it is that they're doing. And ultimately, nobody's really in control but the Lord, of course. But I'm going to finish reading this Isaiah chapter 10, verse 1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, right? That's talking about laws, passing unrighteous decrees, man. Things that are ultimately, being put in place to ultimately snare and to control and have authority over the people, mainly you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, man. Because that's who Esau really is coming after, And it says, and that right grievousness, right, which they have prescribed, right? And I'm going to go into that word grievousness, right? So we could just look that up real quick for edification's sake. Then I'm gonna get into the video, right? But that word grievousness goes into a very severe or serious degree, right? And that's what we see him doing with these laws, man. They're very serious because he's pushing to get them implemented in quicker, man. And from what I'm seeing on this video, it said that this law is going to be made mandatory on June the 5th, Salakia. But that's when this law is going to be put into place. And it's already June the 2nd. So that's 3 days from now, man. So, this devil is moving quick with this draconian system that he's ultimately about to come with. He's putting everything in place already for it to come, and that's what it goes into and tell us about in Revelation chapter 12, verse 12, man. And I'm gonna get that right. It says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil, right, talking about the so-called white man, is come down unto you having great wrath. That's meaning extreme anger. And how is he showing that great wrath? We know ultimately it's going to lead into him persecuting and, ultimately throwing us into these prison camps, some of us, and things of that nature. But he's already showing that great wrath or that extreme anger that he has for the tribes by the laws he's passing. Look at what he's doing with the Northern Kingdom with the whole ICE movement. Got people with masks jumping out of cars, snatching women up, and doing all types of things like that with their kids and things. So, I mean, he's already showing that great deal of anger that he has towards you Israelites, man. And he's only going to continue to keep showing that, with these laws and things that he's ultimately putting in place, right? So it says, it's come down into you having great wrath, right? And this is the reason why he's having that great wrath, or why he's showing it, because he knoweth that he had but a short time, right? So he knows ultimately that he's about to be out of the power seat, that he really doesn't have that long left of rulership. And him knowing that, guess what? That's why he's moving fast to try to bring in this agenda, right? And that's why he's moving fast. That's why when Trump first came into the White House, he already signed over 100-some executive orders, man, because they're trying to put this thing in motion as quick as they can before the Lord returns. So I'm gonna get into this video so we can basically hear what it is that they're talking about as far as with this new law that was passed. But before I start this video, I'm gonna say fair use on 1976 Copyright Act. Not getting paid for this video, is only for educational purposes only. As it says right there on the thing, fair use.
So I posted a video the other day about that new touch law and said that this is bad, that this is coming to more than just Pennsylvania, that once this happens, this is going to be hard to control, that this is absolutely going to be abused by the police. Well, as of this morning, look what just came out. Hands off. 31 states where drivers face touch laws, fined up to $450 if hands are in the wrong place. And
right, so you basically hear a little bit of what it is that he's saying, and he's saying that, basically this is going to create violence and more chaos in this place, America. Mind you, you already got a lot of these jobs and things of that nature with people being laid off, due to there not being a lot of work going around. Then you got them saying they can fine people up to $450 for, basically not having their hands on the steering wheel. So everything that it is that we see these people putting in place is ultimately to take peace from the earth, right? And that's what the Lord have given this man the power to do. And that's what he's finna do in this place, America, man. All of the peace and the love and the kindness and all of these things that these people believe that this country is about to be changed very quickly, man. This is Revelation chapter 6, verse 4, KJV. It says, and there went out another horse that was red, talking about Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. And power was given to him, right, by Yahweh, by Shem Yahushua, because we know ultimately that Esau, Edom is the whooping stick of Yahweh on the left-hand side. He's the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan. And it says power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, right? And he's already done that with all of these wars and all of these different types of things it is that he's funding and doing. But soon to come, he's about to take peace from this place, America, as well, man. And it said, and they should delete one another, and that was given unto him a great sword, man. So ultimately, as we see, this is what everything is about to come into, man. The time of Jacob's trouble are amongst us, man, where all hell is getting ready to break loose in this place, America, man. So I'm going to go into another precept that I got. This is Micah chapter 2, verse 1. KJV, it says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds, because that's what these devils are doing, man. When they're in the dark and, regular people are at home sleeping, probably preparing to go to work or whatever it is you might be having. These people are, in the background orchestrating evil, man, coming together with all type of legislations and laws and, unrighteous decrees that they can ultimately put in place to try to, hinder people and oppress them. That's what this devil does, man. He's wicked. But the Lord, we know that Yahweh by Shem Yahushua have ultimately created him to be the wicked, and the Lord is going to unleash him real soon on a bunch of you jakes, man, you 2/3 and you other heathens. This man is about to get busy on you people, and he's showing that, He said, when the morning is light, they practice it because it's in the power of their hands, right? And that's ultimately why they're practicing these things, because they have been given the rulership as of now. You know, they control everything for a short period of time. That's coming to an end. But still, while they're in power, they're going to, continue to be evil, man, because that's what the Lord have created this man to be, wicked. As it tells you in the book of, I forgot the scripture, but roughly paraphrasing it, the Lord said, how can you make something straight that is crooked? So Esau was, created from the beginning to be wicked, man. And there's nothing people can do to ultimately say this devil, by saying, oh, not all white people are like that or whatever the case. You know how Jake is, but this man is showing who he really is, man. And that's the devil, you know. But I'm gonna get back into this video just so we can hear a little bit more of what it is the guy's saying. But like I said, once this goes into effect, like I said, they're just moving us closer and closer to the time of Jacob's trouble, where all hell is going to break loose. Because once this man bringing all of these different types of laws and people are already fed up with everything that it is he's doing anyway, this is what's going to lead to that sedition among men, man. And I'm going to go to that precept in the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 15, because this is what everything is leading up to, brothers and sisters. Ultimately, chaos happening in these streets of Babylon, man. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 15, and I'm going to start at verse 14. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, right? Woe meaning destruction. Verse 15, for the sword and their destruction drive nigh. And when you go into that word nigh, it means something that's soon to happen or something that's fastly approaching. And we can see that everything that's being set up in this place, America, is ultimately for this place to, break loose in chaos, right? And that's everything that's going to happen, right? And it says, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands, right? That's talking about going into the race wars, the class wars, the civil wars, gender wars, everything that's going to happen once this man push all these laws into place, right along with everything you got happening as far as with the tariffs and everything going wrong in this country. I mean, everything is just being set. Like I said, the stage is already set for this place to go up in flames, man. And they're doing that on purpose because like I read in Revelation 6 and 4 earlier, the Lord have given him that power to ultimately take peace from this place, America, right? And he's going to do that, right? This is 2nd Esdras 15 and 16. It said, for there should be sedition among men, right? And when you go into that word sedition, it goes to people basically rebelling or revolting against the government. And that's going to happen, man. Like I said, all of these unrighteous decrees and laws he's putting in place, man, these people going to bug out, once these things really go into effect. Right along with, like I said earlier, all the jobs closing down, food prices going up. I mean, these people are going to lose their minds soon, man. And they're going to go up against the government. And that's why you got Donald Trump now, who just put that Insurrection Act of 1807 into place, man. You think he put that martial law into place for nothing, man? No, he put it in place because he know ultimately that these people are going to get tired of the things he's doing and they're going to react. And once they react, that's when he's going to bring in the troops. Everything is already set up, man, by Yahweh, by Shem Yahushua, man. That's why we tell you people that we're about to come into a time like never before, man. It's about to get real serious out here, man. And it tells you that in Matthew 24 and 21. It says, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be. So we coming into a time like never before, and it's fastly approaching, right? So I'm going to read this again, 2nd Esdras 15 and 16. For there should be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. That's talking about the government and all of these different type of people, politicians, cops. Soon to come, these people not going to be regarding these people, man, because it's going to be complete anarchy and chaos going on, right? And it says, in the course of their actions shall stand in their power, right? And this is verse 17, because we know ultimately with all of these laws that it is he's passing and putting into place, that's ultimately going to make the people uprise. And guess what? When they uprise, this is what's going to happen, right? 2nd Esdras 15 and 17. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. And the reason he won't be able to move around freely, because going back into what I said about that Insurrection Act of 1807, Trump is going to implement martial law, man. So like I said, all of these things are going to happen soon, man. This ain't going to happen, years out from now. Like a lot of people tell you, people know this stuff is going to happen soon, bro. Everything is already being set for it. Like I said, you just got to have a spiritual discernment. But if the Lord is not dealing with you, then of course you're not going to see these things. But everything is being set for these events to fall in line. Right. So that's what it says. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, because you're going to have martial law, military troops. You're going to have certain checkpoints, barricades, things being blocked off in these cities where people are not going to be able to move around freely. And that's one is all going to go into place of that MOTBC being made mandatory, because that's what we know. Ultimately, everything is being pushed towards that charagma, man. That it tells you about in Revelation 13 and 16. You know, it says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Roughly paraphrasing it. But that's what everything is being pushed towards, right? So I'm going to get back into this video so we can finish listening to what it is he's saying. But, you know, as it tells you in 2 Corinthians 2 and 11, let Satan, meaning our adversary, get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices, man. And this is all part of those devices, those schemes, those tricks, you know, those plots, ultimately to bring in his new system, man. You know, but that's what everything is being set for. And like I said, the Lord is the one that's orchestrating it. You know, ultimately, at the end of the day, you know, it's the Lord's will. You know, as it tells you in Amos 3 and 6, shall there be evil in the city, and the Lord have not done it? So, you know, Yahweh Shem Yahushua is ultimately bringing these things into fruition, you know, ultimately to bring forth that judgment upon these Babylonians in these 2/3. That's what's coming, you know. But I'm going to get back into this video.
And it applies at red lights. So what this law is basically saying that is, if your hands aren't on the steering wheel at all times, the cop is going to be in the right to give you a ticket for a touch law, saying that you had the opportunity to be distracted because both hands, or however many hands, were not on that steering wheel. And it doesn't matter what you're going to be messing with inside of that car, whether you're driving or whether you're sitting still, if a cop sees.
Right. And you basically hear a little gist of what it is he's saying. He's basically saying that, you know, this stuff is going to create chaos, man. That's all it's going to do at the end of the day, because we know how these people are already. Like I said, everybody's on edge. They're already tense, you know, due to everything else that's going on in this society, you know. So, I mean, everything is just being set for disaster. Like I said, man, only people that can see it, though, of course, are the men of the Lord and the few sisters that the Lord is dealing with as well, you know, who he have led to the men to get understanding. But these people don't see what's coming, man. What's right in front of their damn face. You know, this stuff is about to get real in America, man. I'm telling you, this place is about to be locked down like a third world country, man. It ain't, you know, finna be normal soon to come, man. This place going down, you know. So I'm gonna go to a precept just touching on that, because this is about to get bad, man. You know, these are the time we coming into. Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7. This is what's gonna kick off Jacob's trouble, man. Like I said, we seeing everything happening in this place ultimately leading up to Jacob's trouble. Civil unrest, you know, panic, chaos, and all of these different things occurring, right? It's at a last, right? And when you go into that word last, it goes into basically woe, meaning destruction, man. For that day is great, right? Talk about the day that's fastly approaching. So that none is like it, because this is going to be a time like never before, man. A time never known since the earth was in existence, as it tells you in Daniel chapter 12. And I'm going to get that precept too. It says, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, right? But he shall be saved out of it. And nobody's going to be saved out of this but the Lord's elect, man. If you're not part of that number, you're going to get caught up in all of these different types of things that this devil's getting ready to come with, man. You know, and ultimately what the Lord's coming with, because he's the one that's controlling Esau, you know. So I'm going to go to that precept, Daniel chapter 12, verse 1, right? And it says, and at that time shall Michael, right, the head archangel, which is the third in command under our Lord Yahushua, shall stand up, the great prince which standeth up for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. So the only people that's going to be protected are the Lord's elect, man, that are already predestined to ultimately make it through these times that are coming upon this earth, man. If you're not the Lord's elect, man, you're basically going to get caught up in all of these things that's coming, man. Right? And it's about to get bad, man. You know, real serious. But I'm going to get back into this video so we can, you know, only like a minute and a half left. We're just going to watch the whole video. But, you know, this is what's coming, man. Like I said, the stage is being set for complete anarchy and chaos, man. And like I said, these people in America are already fed up with Donald Trump as is, you know, with everything else that he's doing and have done since he got in the White House. But like I said, the Lord's controlling that, man. So at the end of the day, it's all the will of the Lord, because the Lord wants to bring forth this judgment, you know, upon these people here in America, man, in the world. You know, the Lord tells us that in St. Matthew 10 and 34. You know, think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. Sword representing destruction, you know, death, chaos, calamities. You know, that's what's coming, man. You know, and Lord's will, we don't want to get caught up in it, you know, because it's coming. All right.
with your hands off of that steering wheel, he can write you a ticket for up to $450 for a distracted driving. Right there. Give me some likes and comments. Have a great day, America. Hands off. Driver's face touch law. No touching your cell phone while driving. Now, I got a problem with this. Because it says right here, 31 states where driver's face touch law fines of up to $450 if hands are in the wrong place, and it applies at red lights, and they just didn't finish the sentence. The states are Alabama, Arizona, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, Ohio.
And you see they basically bringing this law forth in all of the states where it's a major population of people. You know, states like New York, California, you know, those are major populated areas. So like I said, this is all going forward to basically this man wanting to have full control over you people, man. You know, so yeah, that New World Order is being established, man, you know, and it's coming quick, man. You know, that's why we're going to ultimately need the Lord in these times, because this is about to get real serious out here, man. You know, and the Esau is about to show, you know, those horns, man, you know. But yeah, I'm going to let this video just play. We'll get the rest of it.
Oregon, Rhode Island, Tennessee, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia. Now, let's talk about this. So let me get this right. My hands aren't at 10 and 2, and I drive a manual. And now all of a sudden I'm in trouble because my hands aren't at 10 and 2. And a lot of people like me are one-handed drivers. I always drive with one hand.
So like I said, all of this stuff being put in place is ultimately to bring chaos, man. You know, as I said again, you know, 2 Corinthians 2:11, let Satan get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices, man. You know, so that's pretty much everything I had to say with today's video. Lord's willing to be edifying. To the next time, I'm going to say shalom to the elect.